My name is Craig Scott, and I was 16 years old, a junior at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado, when April 20, 1999 became the worst day of my life. It was a sunny spring morning, the kind where you can feel summer creeping closer. I walked into school that day with my sister, Rachel, a senior, chatting about nothing important, maybe her plans for college. Maybe my math test. We parted ways in the hall, her heading to class, me to the library to finish some homework during lunch. I didn't know it was the last time I'd see her alive. I was sitting at a table in the library, books spread out, pencil tapping against the page, when the fire alarm went off around 11:20 a.m. It was loud, shrill, cutting through the quiet hums of whispers and rustling papers. I rolled my eyes. Another drill, I figured. We'd had one not too long ago. But then I heard something else, a deep echoing bang from outside, followed by another. My friend Matt Ketcher, sitting across from me, looked up confused. "Fireworks," he said, half joking. I shrugged, but my stomach tightened. Something felt awfully wrong. The library doors burst open and our teacher, Mrs. Nielsen, ran in, her face pale, under the tables now. She yelled. I didn't hesitate. I slid off my chair and crawled under the wooden table. Matt and another friend, Isaiah Scholes, squeezing in beside me. The air smelled like dust and old books, but fear was starting to creep in, sharp and metallic. Then the gunfire started, loud, rapid, unmistakable, closer every second. Screams erupted outside the library, high and desperate, and my heart slammed against my ribs. I whispered to Matt, "What's happening?" He didn't answer. His eyes were wide, fixed on the door. The shooters came in minutes later. I heard their boots on the carpet, heavy and deliberate. Then their voices, cold, mocking, asking kids if they believed in God before the shots rang out. I pressed my face to the floor, the carpet rough against my cheek, trying not to breathe too loud. I saw Rachel's best friend, Kelly, gets hit. She'd been hiding near the windows. Blood pooled under her and bit my tongue to keep from crying out. Then one of them, I think it was Eric Harris, walked past our table. I held my breath, praying he wouldn't stop, but he fired away. Random wild shots. Matt grunted beside me, then went still. Isaiah was next. I heard him gasp, then nothing. Blood seeped into my jeans, warm and sticky, but I couldn't move, couldn't scream. They left the library eventually, their laughter echoing as they went to wreak more havoc. I stayed under the table, frozen, until a SWAT team bursts in. Black gear, guns drawn, shouting at us to get up. I stumbled out, hands shaking, past bodies I couldn't look at, past the shattered windows and bullets casing littering the floor. Past the shattered windows and bullet casings littering the floor. The soccer field was chaos, kids crying, cops everywhere, helicopters buzzing. I searched for Rachel, my chest tight, but she wasn't there. Later they told me she'd been shot outside before it even started. One of the first to die, 12 others, including Matt and Isaiah, didn't make it out either. I survived, but it didn't feel like it. For years I'd wake up hearing these shots, seeing Matt's face, Rachel's smile. Guilt ate at me. Why them and not me? I've spent my life since then sharing Rachel's story, her kindness, trying to make something good out of the horror. But I still flinch at loud noises, still feel that library table pressing against my back. Columbine took my sister, my friends, and a piece of me I'll never get back. I'm Mary Ann Jacob, and I was a library clerk at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newton, Connecticut on December 14, 2012. It was a Friday, crisp and gold. Just 11 days before Christmas, the school was alive with holiday cheers, kids in red sweaters, glittery crafts pinned to bulletin boards. I was in the library that morning with 18 fourth graders and 2 other staff members, helping them check out books and finish a project. The clock read 9:30 a.m. when the first sound came, a loud, hollow boom that rattled the walls. At first I thought it was a construction, maybe something falling, in the hallway. But then it came again, sharper, followed by a rapid series of pops. My colleague, Becky, froze mid-sentence, her eyes meeting mine. "That's gunfire," she whispered. My stomach dropped. The kids looked up, confused, some giggling nervously like it was a game. I forced a smile, my voice shaking as I said, "Everyone, let's move to the back. Quietly." We herded them toward the supply closet, a tiny room behind the circulation desk, barely big enough for all of us. Shoved the door open, the smell of paper and glue hitting me as we crammed inside. 18 kids, me, Becky, and another aide. I shoved the door open, the smell of paper and glue hitting me as we crammed inside. 18 kids, me, Becky, and another aide, all pressed together. Pulled the door shut, locking it, my hands trembling so bad I almost dropped the keys. "Sit down, stay silent," I whispered, kneeling in front of them. Their little faces were pale, eyes huge. One girl, Lily, started to cry, and I put a finger to my lips, hearts pounding. The gunfire was louder now, relentless. Mixed with screams I'll never forget. It was close, too close. We stayed there, huddled on the cold floor for what felt like hours. I handed out paper and crayons from the shelves, whispering, "Draw something nice to keep them calm. Whispering, "Draw something nice to keep them calm." Some did, others just stared, clutching each other. I kept thinking of the first graders down the hall, their tiny classroom so vulnerable. Were they okay? Intercom crackled once, a voice saying something garbled, maybe lockdown, then went dead. Every shot made me flinch, my mind racing. Was he coming for us? Would the lock hold? Finally, a knock came, a sharp, insistent. Police opened the door. A man shouted. I hesitated, terrified. Finally, a knock came, sharp, insistent. Police opened the door. A man shouted. I hesitated, terrified. It was a trick. Becky nodded and I cracked the door, peering out. A cop in tactical gear stood there, face grim. "Let's go now," he said. I ushered the kids out, telling them to hold hands and keep their eyes down. The hallway was a nightmare. Smoke, broken glass, blood on the tiles. I didn't let myself look too long, just focused on getting them out. We ran to the firehouse nearby, parents screaming names as we arrived. Every kid in my group made it, thank God. Later, I learned 20 children and 6 staff didn't, most of them first graders, gunned down in their classrooms. I wasn't hurt, but the guilt and grief hit hard. Why our kids and not theirs? Couldn't sleep for months, the pop echoing in my head. I see those little faces, hear Lily's sobs. I still work in school, still advocate for safety, but Sandy Hook changed me. I survived, but I'll always carry that day on forever. David Hagen, I was 17, a senior at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, on February 14, 2018. It was Valentine's Day, the halls decked out with hearts and balloons, a light buzz of excitement in the air. I was in my AP Environmental Science class, room 1216, taking notes on ecosystem. When the fire alarm went off at 2:21 p.m., we groaned. Another drill, we thought. We'd had one earlier that month. I grabbed my backpack, joking with my friend Cameron about ditching. We stepped into the hallway, a crowd forming at the stairs, when the first shot cracked through the noise. Sharp, loud, not a drill. My gut twisted. "That's not a gun," I said, and Cameron nodded, his face pale. Then it was chaos, screams, kids running, more shots coming fast. Pop, pop, pop! Gunshot, find gunshots. I turned back, shoving through the crowd to the classroom. Our teacher, Mrs. Case, was yelling, "Get inside!" I drove in, hiding behind a desk with a dozen others, my heart racing so fast I thought it'd burst. The air smelled like chalk and sweat, the room dim with the blinds half drawn. Gunfire echoed outside, close, too close. Pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and started recording, whispering what was happening in case I didn't make it. "There's a shooter, we're locked in here." I don't know what was going on. I heard glass shatter down the hall, screams cutting off mid-breath. My friend Ashley was crying beside me, and I grabbed their hand, squeezing tight. "We're okay," I lied, not believing it. The shots kept coming, relentless for 6 minutes. That felt like days. I thought of my sister, a freshman, somewhere in the school. Was she safe? My mind raced. How could this happen here? In Parkland. Then it stopped, silence ringing louder than the gunfire. We waited, crouched, until banging came out the door. "Police, open up!" Mr. Case, let them in. SWAT, guns drawn. Mr. Case, let them in. SWAT guns drawn, shouting at us to run. We bolted, hands up, past bullet holes and blood I couldn't process, out the parking lot where sirens wailed and parents sobbed. 17 died that day. Friends, teachers, people I knew. My sister made it, but others didn't. I wasn't shot, but rage and guilt fueled and burned me alive after. Why us? Why us? Why not them? I turned my fear into action, speaking out, fighting for change. Nightmares still hit, gunshots, Ashley's tears, but I pushed forward. Parkland broke me, then it remade me. I survived, and I'll keep fighting, so others do so too.